Yeah, I like what you said about not accepting bad positions because I think that's super common in jiu-jitsu is just accept bad positions where it's like sambo, wrestling, judo, you don't want to be on the ground. You're always fighting to get back up,
Right.
right? And it's becoming more popular in jiu-jitsu. I call it like anti-jiu-jitsu because it's kind of like disengaging. I don't mean that in a bad way. It's a really good tactic. And but it is similar to life, right? Something bad happens. It's like let's get up,
Right.
and don't accept the bad position, get up.
Well, even if you start from the ground, right? But generally, jiu-jitsu guys are starting from the ground because it's safer for the academy, because it's safer in a way. Obviously, you go to competition class, you're gonna probably start on standing. But when there's 100 kids in a academy, throwing each other around can cause injuries of others, and the mat is busy, obviously, and there's a lot of liability. So that's kind of the reason why everybody's starting on the ground. Um, but even then, you're about to roll with somebody. I look at the position, and I can already tell you what's happening here. If the guy is sitting, I know that you're a guard player. Why the hell are you sitting? Right? I know what's happening here. And just imagine that the inner thighs are the mouth of the alligator. That's where the teeth is. That's where I'm not going in any circumstances because you're a guard player. That's why you sat down. That's why you're doing it. Right? If some people sit in a way that both of their knees are on the ground, right? So they're kneeling. That's just bad jiu-jitsu. If I push you back, you're gonna tear your ligaments. That's just, you shouldn't be doing that, right? I always correct that when I see that, like kneeling with both knees. I'm like, Jesus Christ, man. That's very dangerous because I'm nice, but somebody maybe not, and then there's a problem.
Yeah.
And so you stand in combat stand because a combat stand is basically an interim position. Why do we have combat stand? It is because if somebody knocked you down on the street, right, and then you're on your back, what are you doing? You're protecting yourself by spinning around and with your feet trying to kick away, right? If somebody steps in, then you wrap them up and then you pull them down to the ground. But that's the idea. But in a second you want to stand up, you're going to swing your leg forward, right? Put it down, thread the other leg, and that's a kind of the combat stand. And you stand up and you can decide if I'm going forward or backward, right? But that interim position is the combat stand. So if I start on the ground, I start from combat stand because it's actual legitimate real position. That this would happen even on the street if I have to get up. And from here, with a single motion, without putting my hands down on the mat, I can stand up, forward or backwards, right? And I can keep my hand, front of my face, and I can stand up and I can stand up, forward, up, backwards, right? From combat stand. You can't do that from sitting and definitely can't do that from kneeling, right? So I look at those positions and it tells me two things immediately. A, I know what you're about. I know that you're a guard player again if you kind of lay down, right? And I think it's not a good idea to do that because it's a bad habit. It's just a bad habit,
Yeah, that's something I've been talking about so much lately on my YouTube channel and my newsletters and everything, because not only do you want, because you don't want your knees on the mat for a lot of reasons. One is just if you have your knees kneeling on the mat, you're not gripping with your feet, right? And you need to grip the mat with your feet or your opponent with the feet. It doesn't really make sense to have them doing nothing, right? Your feet are grips just like your hands are. And, like you said, like being on your knees, it's like, you can't really control your base too well. If you have your foot on the mat, then you can drive forward into them. You can stand up fully. It's like you need your feet on the mat to be able to do all these things. So that's a common mistake I see white belts make all the time, just on their knees.
And is there a position in real life then that would happen? Any combat scenario, would that happen that you're on your knees for any reason? It's unlikely that would actually happen. Yeah. That's what I mean. Like, it's an unrealistic position and it's dangerous because you can be, plowed down and you will tear your ligaments. So that's just bad.